The day my daughter walked down the aisle, everyone believed they were witnessing the happiest moment of my life. They smiled, applauded, and celebrated as white roses lined the church in a quiet town outside Nashville, Tennessee. But behind my smile, I carried a secret so heavy it nearly broke me. Just 3 weeks earlier, my father had passed away and left me a $9 million inheritance with one simple instruction buried inside his handwritten letter. He warned me not to tell anyone until I was absolutely certain who truly loved our family and who only loved what they could gain. At first, I thought his words came from grief and old age. By the end of that unforgettable year, I thanked God every single day that I had listened. My name is Michael Carter, and for most of my life I believed love could overcome anything. After losing my wife to illness years earlier, raising my daughter, Sarah, became the greatest purpose of my life. We never had much money, but we had enough to laugh together, celebrate birthdays with homemade cakes, and sit on our porch watching summer sunsets. Sarah grew into a kind, intelligent young woman, and when she became engaged to Nathan, I welcomed him into our family with an open heart. He was polite, successful, and everyone admired his confidence. I wanted to believe my daughter had found the happiness she deserved. When my father's attorney informed me about the inheritance, I could hardly breathe. $9 million was more money than I had ever imagined. Yet the letter from my father echoed louder than the number itself. He reminded me that wealth reveals character more than poverty ever does. He asked me to keep living exactly as I always had until I knew beyond doubt where every heart around me truly stood. I locked the documents inside a small safe and told no one. Not even Sarah. The wedding was beautiful, but after the celebration small things began changing. Nathan slowly encouraged Sarah to spend less time with me. Holiday visits became shorter. Phone calls became less frequent. Every conversation somehow circled back to money, investments, expensive vacations, or bigger houses. They quietly assumed I was struggling financially after retirement. Sometimes they offered advice that felt more like criticism than concern. I smiled through every moment, remembering my father's warning. If they believed I was simply an ordinary retired widower, then their actions would reveal the truth far better than any questions I could ask. Months later, life tested us all. A severe business downturn left Nathan under enormous financial pressure. Debts piled up, and the comfortable lifestyle they had built began falling apart. One evening Sarah arrived at my modest home alone. Her eyes were swollen from crying, and for the first time since her wedding, she wasn't worried about appearances. She simply wanted to sit beside her father. We shared coffee at the same old kitchen table where she had done her homework as a little girl. She apologized for drifting away and admitted she had allowed other priorities to replace family. She never asked for money. She only asked for forgiveness. That moment told me everything my father had hoped I would someday discover. Over the following months Sarah visited every weekend. She helped repair my fence, planted flowers in my yard, and cooked dinner just as her mother once had. Nathan remained distant at first, embarrassed by his business failures, but eventually he came too. Without expensive gifts or impressive cars, I saw a different man. Pride had finally given way to humility. He worked temporary jobs, treated Sarah with greater respect, and spent hours helping neighbors simply because they needed assistance. Neither of them knew about the inheritance, yet they chose family over comfort. They chose love over appearances. They chose gratitude over entitlement. On Thanksgiving, nearly a year after my father's passing, I gathered them around the dining table. I placed the faded envelope containing my father's letter beside a folder holding the inheritance papers. As they quietly read every page, tears filled Sarah's eyes. Nathan lowered his head in silence, realizing how differently things might have unfolded if greed had taken control of their hearts. I explained that the money had never been a reward for perfection. It was a blessing meant to strengthen a family built on trust, humility, and compassion. Together we decided to establish scholarships for local students, support children's hospitals across Tennessee, and create a family foundation that would honor my father's legacy by helping others find hope during their hardest seasons. If this story has touched your heart and reminded you that true wealth is measured by love, loyalty, and kindness rather than money, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes family is life's greatest blessing. Your support helps bring more heartfelt stories to people who need hope. Before the story ends, please leave a comment and tell us, what would you have done if you had inherited $9 million? Would you have revealed it immediately, or waited to see who truly loved you? As I looked around the Thanksgiving table that evening, I realized my father had left me something far greater than $9 million. He had given me the wisdom to see people's hearts without the distraction of wealth. Money can build houses, but only love can build a home. It can buy comfort, but never genuine loyalty. Looking at my daughter smiling across the table, surrounded by a family finally united by honesty instead of appearances, I whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude. Thank God I didn't reveal the inheritance on her wedding day, because waiting didn't just protect my father's gift. It saved our family and reminded us that the richest inheritance any parent can leave behind is a legacy of faith, integrity, forgiveness, and unconditional love.